Joining us now is One Nation Senator Pauline Hanson. Senator, thank you so much for joining us. Over the past week here in Australia, we've seen the mobilisation of the Muslim Vote campaign. Has the UK result given us a glimpse of what might happen at our next federal election?
Most definitely. I've been speaking about this for years, and I did a speech on it in my first speech to the Parliament when I went back into the Senate in 2016. It has to open the people's eyes of what we are going to be in for in this country if they do. Look, there's a lot of good Muslims out there, people who love this country and respect, the way of life that we have here. But there are also those extremists who follow the ideology of what the Muslim religion is. And it's an ideology that does not fit in with our standard of living and way of life. Hamas is an extremist organisation, and actually they support the beating of the wives. They do not like homosexuals. They have, suppression of women. And this is what I can't understand, the Greens and their stance and all this, and not condemning Hamas and what they are doing to the people in Palestine, because they stand up and virtue signaling about domestic violence on the floor of Parliament, yet they promote, and if they support this organisation, they're supporting domestic violence and the way that women are treated. We have to learn from what's happened in other countries around the world, and especially not only England, but also Denmark, Canada, France, a lot of other countries that have actually felt what Islam has done. Lebanon's another one as well. So Egypt used to be a country that dressed just like we, Australian women do. Now they're all covered up. We are going to be facing the problems of this Muslim ideology if we head down this path.
Yes, Senator Hanson, I want to ask you about this because democracies, I suppose, for the longest time have been nations where there are a diversity of views, but there's shared core values. But one of the outcomes of multiculturalism is that we've encouraged people to come with completely different values that are an anathema to most of us. Now, as you've rightly pointed out, not all Muslims think the same, but in terms of Islam, we're now seeing very different values. I guess my question is, can the political system handle that kind of difference?
No, it can't. You see, under section of the Constitution, 116 of the Australian Constitution, you can't impose laws with regards to religious observance. So therefore, you will not be able to do anything about it. So if these people actually do get the place in Parliament, and we've seen it in western suburbs of Sydney. When I went to Lakemba years ago, I was surrounded by federal and state police. A lot of Australians won't even go into those areas now. I've heard of police that actually, once they went into these areas, then the locals were informed and they were surrounded by the locals and they were basically told, get the hell out of our area. Now, that's actually happening in Great Britain, in places that you cannot go in unless you have the permission of the imams to go there. We have a changing country. The landscape is changing, and a lot of locals in these areas will tell you how it's changed. Now, it'll get to a stage, even we've seen it now, on the streets of the Palestinian protesters, that the police were reluctant to do anything about it. The same as what happened in Parliament House. The police, federal police, were reluctant to do anything or to actually they should have been taken out as far as I'm concerned. They should not have been given 2 hours to actually show their protest, especially with that symbol that indicated it was Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organisation, and for them to be up there for 2 hours is just ridiculous. So heads should roll over this. We got too many Palestinian sympathisers in this country that I'm concerned about our national security and especially the heart of our democracy, which was Parliament House, and it took that long to actually, when they decided they'd had enough, then the police took them into custody. Ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and it doesn't send the best warnings. It basically invites enemies to go, well, they've had this symbol up for 2 hours. What on earth are they doing? Senator Pauline Hanson, unfortunately, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us on